Hi everybody, this is Rhys Barber from Audiology Associates. Thanks very much for watching our earwax removal compilation video today. Apologies for not posting over the last 3 weeks. We've been doing some training, we've had rejig into the clinic, and I've just been super busy, so I haven't really had a chance to do a lot, unfortunately. But we're hoping that's going to settle down over the next sort of couple of weeks. So you can see this first patient here, we've got some quite sort of dry plugs in here. Just getting a good grip on this section. You can see he's pulling this outer ridge of wax and skin that was there right at the entrance to the ear canal out. We've got a little bit of skin, you can see that just getting sucked inside the machine and just lifting another layer of skin from underneath. So you can see it's really kind of peeling down the canal, lots and lots of dead skin in here. Now patients can sometimes get this, especially if they've used a lot of olive oil in their ear canals. It can kind of over moisturize everything, and then that can make this top layer of skin just get a little bit looser and it can come away, which can sometimes cause us a few issues when we're suctioning, just because it keeps getting in the way of what we want to try and get hold of. So I've just put a slightly thinner tube on here, and the reason we're doing that is because if you've got the big wide tube in there, the skin just keeps vibrating in the end, flicking up and down really quickly, and that causes a really high-pitched shrill whistle in the ear canal. So we're just putting this smaller, thinner, fine end on, which is much thinner opening to the tube there, which allows us to get a good grip on the skin without it vibrating around too much. So I've just managed to take away some of that, more of that dead skin. There is a plug that's sitting behind it, which is what we're working on now. So we're just going to slowly draw that down the canal. A little piece just broke off the front there. There we go, just getting a good grip on that piece of wax. You can see it's very dry. It's really kind of hardened up into this particular shape of the ear canal here. Now, not everyone's ear canal is straight. The majority of people's ear canals have bends in them. Some are more pronounced than others, and this is one of those cases. So unfortunately here, it's kind of dried into that specific shape just on the corner. So I'm just going to get a good grip on this next section, a little bit of a wiggle here just to tease it around that corner, around that bend. There we are, you're really starting to see it move now. There's that plug, or certainly part of it there. Let's take a look behind. There's another little section behind. If I manage to get some of these pieces away though, it does help, because it will help us have a little bit more room in there just to maneuver this next plug. And let's see if we can get this one around the bend as well. You can see what I'm doing is trying to hold on to this and just wiggle it ever so slightly. It's that dry though, little pieces of breast just breaking away there, which means we can't get a fantastic grip on this. So let's try from the bottom here. We've got that little kind of gap now above this. So maybe if we can lift, then we can be able to just give this a little bit more of a wiggle around that bend. There we are, we managed to get another piece of wax away. I just broke another section away. Doesn't matter if it comes away in installments, that's not a problem. It just takes that a little bit longer, but it does mean with every piece we take away, we have that little bit more room to maneuver and just give us a little bit more wiggle room in here. You can see it's very tightly packed, so you can understand why this patient would have had the hearing issues they're having when you look at just how much wax had accumulated in this ear canal. So don't forget, your ear canal is roughly about 2.5 centimeters long to 3 centimeters, so just over around about an inch thereabouts. So you can fit quite a bit in here. So we've got this to the outer section now. It looks like that's the whole plug just popped into the bowl of the ear, so we'll just get rid of that. Let's take a look behind. There we go. There's the eardrum there. So this is what it looked like at the start. Much clearer now. Patient can hear so much better. So 3.5 centimeters there, 1 3/8 inches worth of wax. So quite a bit came out of that ear canal. You could see all those tiny little pieces there at the bottom of the screen. Those were all the teeny weeny little bits that came away first of all. And then we've got those bigger plugs there as well, which were the larger sections that came away with it. So this is the second patient in the compilation. A lot of plugs here as well. You can see quite humid ear canal, even just by having the endoscope just on the outside part of the ear there. We're getting a lot of misting to the endoscope there, so quite a humid ear canal, this one. So let's get a good grip here. Nice solid grip on that plug. You can see it a little bit softer right at the outside edge. Good one to get a good grip on there. Out that comes. You can see a little bit of dry skin attached to the back end of it. Let's just hoover up these little pieces here at the entrance and take a look behind. There's the eardrum looking lovely. So this is what it looked like before. And this is what it looks like after. You could see a little red dot there. That's quite common sometimes to get those little red dots on your eardrum, especially if the patient's had a little bit of middle ear fluid. As that drains away, you get these little red circles appear on the eardrum there. So what you can see now, this is the third patient in the compilation. We've got this quite angular piece of wax here. It looks quite dry to start with, and just by looking down the right-hand side of it there, you can just see it goes down a fair old way. So we're just gonna see if we can wiggle this front end. Angular wax is not the easiest with suction, just because the shape of the wax is more this kind of cheese wedge shape, and the suction looks like this. So you're trying to get a grip, so you've got to kind of angle it onto the flatter sides of the wedge there. So out that comes. Let's take a look behind there. There we go. You can see it's pretty chock-a-block in there. When you get rid of this front section, it's this very, very thick, kind of almost a little bit more sticky type of wax here. So let's get a good grip on this. You can see it's very slowly working our way down. So very minute little wiggles back and forth, just trying to stop it from re-sticking to the ear canal wall here. There we go. Very dark, thick plug, that one. Let's just, is it going to come away? I'm trying just to keep a grip on this with the suction. We may get it all the way out. I've committed now. I don't think we're going to go in with the Jobson horn. There we go. Out it comes. So you can see this bigger, thick, dark plug there. Let's take a look behind that. There's the eardrum looking lovely. So this is what it looked like before, and this is what it looks like after. So you can very clear there. So you can see we've got, oh, what's that? Just under 2.5 centimeters, 7/8 of an inch, or 13/16 to be very precise in inchy terms, guys. And you can see that it's very, very dark, thick wax. That one really, really dark in color. So this is on to our next patient now. Now you can see this looks very, very different, very humid here as well, but this very thick layer in here. So we're just going to go in with a suction first of all. Let's get rid of this softer material. Now this patient's flooded the ear canals with olive oil. You can see the remnants of it there on the left-hand side of that wax as well. But it also means that the surface of the wax is going to be really, really soft. So we're going to get rid of that using the suction, allowing us to hold on to this much darker, harder section there. You can see a little bit actually come over the endoscope as well. So we're just going to go in that a little bit further. Now the cilia here, you know, it's not really causing us any issues at the moment. We get lots of questions about the cilia. You know, why don't you just trim the hairs? That'll improve the view. Yes, it would. It would improve the view, but I can see perfectly well. So just to get in there is quite easy here. And once we get past this initial outer section, we end up, the endoscope goes a bit further and gets past those little cilia. So it's only really a temporary issue while we're getting this out. Don't get me wrong. If it was like super dense, we're talking like thick forest in there, then we may have to trim. Now I do know some people that actually just grip it with the crocodile forceps and literally just yank it out, but we may just trim around the outside edge if we need to. Most of the time I don't really feel it's necessary. I think, I don't know if I've ever, maybe once or twice I've ever had to do it, but the endoscope gives us such a good little view in there. It's great for this type of wax. So you can see this very soft material all coming down. Luckily, as we get a grip on the next section, the next one's pulling forwards as well. There we are. You can see it's getting much softer, a little bit more sort of slimier would be a good description for this type of wax. But there we are. There's the eardrum. So this is what it looked like before. You can see totally blocked up. There's the eardrum there. So patient hearing much better. Now the other ear canal, though, this is solid. You can see this is just one tough old cookie, this one. So the patient's two extremes. They've put a lot of olive oil on the one side, kind of almost over softened it a little bit, and now they've put nothing at all in the other side. So you end up with this really, really thick, hard plug. Now it doesn't look like, I think this is more sort of connected around dry skin. So we're just gonna straight in here with a Jobson horn. A lot of the time, if you've got a really hard, dense plug like that, you can't get a great suction grip on it. Jobson horn cuts through it really, really well. You can see how it's just flicking off the top here. That's a layer of dry skin we're working on. So just trying to pull this forwards. Now I'm hoping the plug's going to come out, but what's actually happening is it's kind of just flexing it and bending it forwards here. So I'm just going to go over the next section. There we are. You can see every time I go over the top, I'm hoping it's just going to pull, but this little bit of dry skin here is hanging on for dear life in there. It doesn't want to come away easily. It's all hardened up. You can see it further back. Let's just get a grip. Let's see if we can sneak down that little gap. There we go. Let's pull this forward. So not only have we got a lot of wax in here, we've got a lot of dry skin embedded in the middle of this wax. So as we're pulling this, everything is kind of holding and working against us here. So we've got to be quite firm with this wax now. Kind of show it who's boss over the top of here. So you can see we're just getting into that next section. This is a really hard shell almost of wax. I need to get into that little gap. There we go, over the top. Now that's going to allow me to get behind the wax now. Before I was just kind of scraping along the surface. Get behind and lever it out. There you can go, crashing into the endoscope. Here it comes. There you go, out comes that plug. There we are. Now the reason the patient hadn't oiled this particular side was because they didn't feel they had any wax in this side. They could hear perfectly well. And that's not uncommon. When you get any sort of gap around that wax, it's going to allow the sound through. So we do get a lot of patients come through. They'll only book in to have one side done. And a lot of the time they'll end up having both sides done just because the other side, although they've got almost just as much wax, there's only a little bit of a gap there, but it's enough to get the sound through just to stimulate the eardrum there. So there we are. This is what it looked like before. You can see pretty blocked up there. This is what it looks like after, so much better. But look how much has come away. That is 5 centimeters, 1 7/8 of an inch, I reckon that is, guys. But you can see lots and lots of different colored plugs there. The lighter colored one is the second ear canal there. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video as much as I did voicing it over. Apologies again for the break. It just got super duper busy here, and I just really didn't have time to get the videos out for you. But we're hoping that's going to fall into a little bit more of a consistent pattern over the next couple of weeks. So as always, guys, take care of yourselves, take care of your ears, and take care of one another. And I shall see you again on, what day is it, Thursday? I shall see you on Saturday. Bye, everyone.